Senator Holland's schedule and make sure that the information is in front of him as well, but are we on? Testing? Does that sound okay? Testing? There we go. Okay. Okay, yes, we will go ahead and get started. I think the best thing to do, I think Mr. Penner had sent out or distributed the sheet kind of outlining the fiscal impacts of each of the provisions of the House offer. Mr. Penner, do you want to briefly go over that right quick, please?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair. As you can see, this page that's in front of you includes the 6 provisions that the House offered at the 10:30 meeting of the Conference Committee. The single bracket, single rate income tax plan at 5.25%, with the first $6,150 or $12,300 of income excluded from taxation, effective tax year 25. You can see that that starts the fiscal year 25 impact of that is 91.5, increases to 306 million in 26 and 309.1 million in 27. I should probably clarify for everybody's purposes, the fiscal year 2024 column is on here. That's because some versions of provisions that you have considered have included food sales tax as early as April, and that did have that has a fiscal year 2024 impact. None of the provisions in this have a 2024 impact, so you can kind of ignore that first column. The next provision is the standard deduction indexed pursuant to the federal indexing formula. Beginning in tax year 25, you can see the impact of that is 1.9 million, 8.2 million, and 14.8 million. And obviously that's one that would continue to grow into the future as it is indexed. The third is exempting Social Security benefits beginning tax year of 25. The first year of that, 35.9, the second year, 120.7, and the third year, 124.4. Of course, now that it wouldn't be retroactive back to a couple of weeks ago on January 1, that first year doesn't have the extra 130%. It's just kind of the partial year impact of it. The next provision is the privilege tax rate reductions. All of the reductions taking place in tax year 25. You can see the impact of that. 6.8, 7.4, and 7.5. The fifth provision is the food and food ingredient sales tax rate to 0% effective July 1 of 24. That would reduce fiscal year 25 state general fund receipts by $62.2 million and state highway fund receipts by a further $12.9 million. The highway fund, of course, being down below. The final provision is to increase the residential exemption from the statewide school finance 20 mil levy to $100,000 effective tax year 2024 and retain the formula that increases that exemption amount going forward. After that, that would reduce state school district finance fund receipts by 84.8 million, 89.5 million, and 94.3 million. Of course, state school district finance fund receipts being reduced results in increased state general fund expenditures on school finance. So you can see the all funds total for this proposal for the 3 years would be 296 million, 531.8 million, and 550.1 million.
Thank you, Eddie. I just did want to clarify more for the revisers' benefit, because I think I failed to mention that earlier, but along with accelerating that July 1st statewide food sales tax would also be increasing that state highway fund distribution. I assumed everybody probably understood that, but I do want to clarify because I did forget to mention that earlier.
And if I may clarify, also the fair, state fair, they both have sales tax stream direct. Would that make up that difference too, or how would that be impacted?
Since the state fair capital improvements fund percentage is it's not actually a percent of receipts, it's a geographic determination of receipts. That actually doesn't have to be modified as part of any of this.
Thank you for correcting. Yes. Okay. I forgot about that. It is only sales tax from the Hutchinson area, from the state fair.
On the fairgrounds themselves. It's not even the rest of Hutch.
Great. Thank you. Well, Mr. Chairman, we appreciate your offer. We know that a lot of time and thought has gone into this. We would like to counter with a couple of items. We would like to move the exemption for Social Security into tax year 24. We would also like to add a personal exemption to increase it by $50. We had discussed that. And to add the index so that it would increase annually, much like the standard deduction. That's it, Mr. Chairman.
That conclude the offer? Okay.
Yeah. With all of your provisions.
Okay. Eddie, did you have the numbers on, seems like we'd seen that before, on the Social Security, moving that to tax year 24?
Yeah, the latter 2 years remain the same as what they are in here, since it's just the extra year on the front end. The first year increases from $35.9 million to $152.1 million. And I actually did want to clarify a provision there. The personal exemption increase by $50 and the indexing, what would the effective years be for that, since?
Let's start with 25, since that's where the House put most of their provisions. We can take a look at it. I would like 24, but it's wherever you think the best fiscal note is.
So a 25 increase of $50 and then indexing beginning in 26 off of that increased amount. Okay.
Yes, I just want to make sure we're all on the same page. Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, with the fiscal note that we're looking at, I think it might be best to entertain moving that up into 24 tax year. It's an approximately $10 million fiscal note. I don't think that throws us out of bounds for 2024 at all. And it does help those in need. It just sweetens the tax relief for those most in need.
Okay.
So, Mr. Chairman, I've been asked to consider also the standard deduction indexing, to move that to 2024 also. I think we still come in under $200 million for this year.
So we'll move the standard deduction indexing effective in tax year 24.
Yes,
Okay.
if you guys are receptive to it, obviously.
Okay, and what did you say was still under 200 million? The
I think
SGF.
our offer for 2024, the fiscal note for 2024 would be under 200 million.
Okay.
But let's confirm that. We've got a lot of moving parts. I don't want to.
Yeah, I was just curious because I don't know that anything actually impacts, well, I get confused when we start talking about tax year and then fiscal year and which numbers are fitting into which columns on these sheets, so. Because I don't believe.
So if we could, Eddie, would you mind just reviewing the House offer, and then we'll go over where our offer is to make sure that we have in all tax years. We'll talk in tax years on this offer. Is that okay, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, just as long as if we talk in tax years, that's fine. We'll all be on the same page there.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, sure. The House had 6 provisions, one of which was effective in tax year 24, and that was the residential exemption to $100,000. Another was effective July 1 of 24, and that was the state food sales tax rate to 0%. The other 4 provisions in the House offer were all effective in tax year 2025, and that is the 5.25% single rate plan, the standard deduction in indexing, the Social Security exemption, and the privilege tax rate reductions. My understanding of the Senate counteroffer is that the residential exemption would remain in tax year 24. Joining it in tax year 24 would be the Social Security exemption, the standard deduction indexing, and a $50 increase to the personal exemption allowance amount. Then, beginning in the food sales tax would stay at July 1 of 24, and then beginning in 25, the Senate's offer counter would include a 5.25% single rate, the privilege tax rate reductions, and indexing of the personal exemption allowance amounts.
Any questions? Okay. Eddie, do you have a quick total on, if we go back to talking about the state fiscal year, is there any impact on fiscal year 24 at all?
No, none of those provisions would have any fiscal year 24 impact.
Okay. And then if you could run that fiscal year 25 and see where we're at on that, please.
I'm doing what I can on it. I might have one little hang up that I might want to confer with Kathleen about, as it relates to the fiscal impact that I have for personal exemption indexing, is indexing off of the current amount, not off of the $50 more amount. It's a pretty small change, but I do think it'd be a couple $100,000 probably. So let me.
I think if we're getting that close, we're pretty close.
But just a minute.
So Eddie, if I may, the sheet that you handed out did not include the personal exemption amount on it. And I had seen numbers previously that if it was implemented in 24, it would be approximately 7.9 million. Would that change? That number wouldn't change, would it?
So no, I have the $50 increase impact, but what I have is actually indexing it beginning in 25 without the $50 increase.
Okay, I understand.
And so I can give.
So if it causes that much grief, Mr. Chairman, we could refer back to the numbers where I was estimating or was told that it was approximately 2.1 million in 2025 for the indexing.
Yeah, and that is off of the current 2250 amount. Indexing it off of the 2300 amount would be slightly larger.
And what I'm saying is we can, if we need to wait, if it's going to cause that much grief, I don't want to lose this legislation over that little piece.
No, we have to understand, we're dealing with estimates here anyway, so these aren't set in stone by any means, but that's one of the smaller provisions. I don't have any heartburn over moving forward with this without that exact number.
Okay, thank you.
Or without that exact estimate.
Well, yeah, what I can do is give you the amount as it exists now, but obviously with an understanding it'll be a couple $100,000 more once the department, I don't want to say, at least a couple $100,000 and maybe, a few $100,000, depending upon the year, more once the department does that based upon that new elevated base. But But I can go ahead and give you these numbers that with the, so these, just a second, let me get one more. So this is the 525 single bracket effective 25, standard deduction indexing effective 24, Social Security exemption effective 24, privilege tax rate reductions in 25, food sales tax 7/1 of 24, personal exemption increased in 24 by $50 and then beginning to be indexed in 25, and then the residential exemption to 100,000 in 24. Barring that one change that we discussed, the state general fund total for receipts is $337.9 million in 25, $468.9 million in 26, and $488.6 million in 27. The state school district finance fund amount obviously doesn't change. The state highway fund amount obviously doesn't change. So the all funds total would be 435.6 in 25, 558.4 in 26, 582.9 in 27. And keep in mind, all of those numbers are subject to change due to the change in the personal exemption indexing by a small amount.
And if I could have you repeat the 24 and 25 numbers again, please.
None of this has a fiscal impact in 24. So the 25 numbers, the general fund is 337.9 and the all funds amount is 435.6.
Well, I think we're clear on the package deal and what's being offered. Do you have time to take just a brief recess, maybe 5 minutes? I'd like to visit with my conferees and see where we want to go.
5 minutes
On your
would be
offer.
great. We'll
Okay.
wait here.
Okay, we'll step out and we'll be right back.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Well, thank you. Boy, it's a lot cooler out in that other room there, too. I know it feels like we've moved very fast on this, but I know a lot of this is carried over from last session and the work that we all did. And I want to thank the senators for everything they worked on, putting together Senate Bill 169 and that package. At this time, we would like to go ahead and accept all of the Senate offers and finalize the report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate you guys. I know you put a lot of work into this too. I think it's a really good product for the state of Kansas. However, we will have to run an agree to disagree. Could you guys cue that up? Okay. And do you think you could have it by 2?
That shouldn't be a problem.
Okay, so that we can run it on the floor at 2:30 if we have enough members.
Are you adjourned for the day?
Okay. Just as we're discussing, yeah, I mean, we can have it prepared and signed. It would be run on the Senate side first for 84, excuse me. And then the House could run it in the morning. That would be procedurally how it would work.
So, and Mr. Chairman, if I may, I know a lot of people think this might be the last train out of the station because that's usually how it works. But I was assured by the Senate President that they are assigning us another vehicle. And so there will be more provisions. And I look forward to, I know there were a lot of items in CCR 8, the disability tax credit, the property tax freeze for seniors and veterans, and many other items we'd like to get across the line. So hopefully we can continue these conversations.
Yes, and it's my full intention. There were a lot of provisions in Senate Bill 8 that the House didn't have a chance to hear, so we're scheduling hearings so the House members are all up to date on that material, because I think there was a lot of good legislation that was left on the table last year, and we'll be looking forward to moving. Yeah, it's weird. We're used to doing this conference committee spur of the moment at the end of the session. Now we've still got all session left, so certainly look forward to what the rest of the session brings.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, and we are adjourned.